Good morning, everyone. I'm in the garden at the Y. So I'm going to be harvesting some kale today, and the delicious recipe I'm going to make is, wait for it, kale pesto. So we still have our amazing 4 types of kale. So here is our Russian kale, Russian purple kale. So remember how we talked before, when you harvest, you're not pulling out the whole plant. I'm going to be taking out just the outer layers, and it will continue to grow on the inside. So never pull out the whole plant, because we can still harvest for a couple weeks to come. Oh, little side note, look at those tomatoes. Gorgeous. More purple kale. I'm also in my pesto going to put in some your traditional basil. Oh, look at that's good luck, little ladybug. And let me find, here's our dino kale here. See, it's a very, very dark green. I'm going to be putting some of that in. And walking stick kale here, huge leaves on that. And lastly, we have our curly kale. That's the traditional one you typically find in the bags in the grocery store. Much better when you get it from the garden. So I am going to be busy harvesting, and you'll find me next in the kitchen. Hi everyone, I'm in the kitchen at the Y. Yay! So we're making a fresh pesto with basil and with our kale. Basil, kale, I sort of cut it off the stem, or I pulled it off the stem. And the basil, I just took the basil leaves off the stem as well. So the recipe, I'm all organized here. So the recipe calls for 4 cloves of garlic. I'm going to put them in the food processor, and I'm going to be sure to process those because no one wants to get a big chunk of garlic. Sort of broken up, and then we just put everything in. So this is about equivalent to 1 bunch of kale that you might get at the grocery store. And I'm also putting in a good amount of the basil. And I'm using the Russian kale. You use whatever kale you can find. I might have been a little bit over exuberant with my kale here. I also have walnuts and pine nuts. I have a combination, so I'm big on using what you have. So use whatever nuts you have. You can use hemp seed, you can use chia seed, you can use walnuts, or pine nuts is the traditional with the pesto. So I'm just going to run that. Oh, and the lemon juice. This is the juice of 1 lemon. It's about 2 tablespoons. Give it a little pulse. And you're going to add a little bit of pepper. So this called for like I guess, 1/8 of a teaspoon. Salt, you want to be more careful with. A little less than a teaspoon. Throw that in there. And then we're going to add about 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And I'm going to drizzle that in as I pulse. I'm going to give it a little bit of a stir because sometimes things go up on the side. And you want it to be nice and smooth. You can also taste it and adjust the seasoning. You could add some hot pepper flakes if you like that. Traditionally, there's Parmesan cheese in this, but I didn't put it in. You can add it later or add it now if you want as well. Maybe 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. If you want to make it vegan, no Parmesan cheese. So I'm going to add a tiny bit more oil because it's not quite the consistency I want. Ooh, a couple more basil leaves. So this is going to be a nice combination. Okay. Ooh, I wish you could smell this, everyone. So, you can look and see it has a nice consistency. This is wonderful on pasta, whole wheat pasta being best if you can. Also on pizza, you can toast a piece of whole grain bread, spread that on the pesto on it, and then some fresh tomatoes. So much you can do with a fresh pesto. And it's not just limited to basil. You can use peas. I've seen the green pea pestos because everyone's getting peas out of the garden now too. This is a wonderful way to, you know, sort of be sure you use all your produce. So that's really important. If you grow it, be sure to use it. You can also freeze the pesto, spread it into ice cube trays, and then in February when it's windy and cold, you can pull it out and say, yes, I have fresh pesto from my garden. And you can appreciate all those beautiful phytonutrients, vitamins and minerals and fiber. So make that pesto, sky's the limit. Bye.